Well, hello, creatives, community, and kind folks. Welcome to RPG with DBJ. We're going to get right into it. Today, we get to visit heaven. Yes, we're going through Planescape and we're going to visit the lawful good plane of existence, also known as the seven heavens of Mount Celestia. It's also been called many other things, but in short, it is the fictional fantasy D20 Dungeons and Dragons version of heaven and the gate town known as Excelsior, which I know the word means other things, but I just imagine Stan Lee saying Excelsior, signing out or whatever. So, um, in short, we have these locations known as gate towns. Essentially, they exist on a plane of neutrality, concordant opposition, and each gate town has an aspect of the plane of existence it's attached to, normally associated with an alignment. This time, we're looking at Excelsior, a gate town associated with the seven heavens, and yeah, I would Drew. Yeah, I also think about I just imagine him just saying Excelsior, Stanley something. I can't remember his last name, but shortened his name. His pen name was Stan Lee, and really fun person. In many ways, kind of an embodiment of lawful and goodness. And for some reason, in our tabletop role playing experience, we have a pretty big issue with lawful good, just as much as we have an issue with chaotic evil. Can someone really be lawful good? What is a place so lawful and good that would any human being be able to survive there, live there, even gain entrance to such a place? So we're going to talk about it, and the gate town associated with it. So again, the rules for gate towns are that they are influenced, they are a piece, a fragment of the plane that they're associated with, lawful good, but there's something about it, an undercurrent, a behavior, an invitation of some sort that makes it not pure. Otherwise, if it was pure, that gate town would just get absorbed back into the in get absorbed into the alignment plane and not be able to exist on the plane of neutrality. So we'll find out what that's about as well, and some of the rules involved in it. Um, Descriptively, the gate town of Excelsior is kind of what you imagine. There's a in the center of the town. There's a great, vast tower, almost cathedral-like, and it reaches up into the clouds, so far into the clouds that you can't see the very top, the very peak. Um, Even though the clouds may be colorful blues and pinks and purples, very tranquil, very pristine in its design, almost designed. You When you look at many of the structures, you couldn't imagine them being built any more perfect. And so there is a perfectionistic attitude in this town. If there's any dirt or destruction or things seem to be just out of sorts, there's immediately someone there to clean it up, fix it, to repair it, to replace something with something even better. You can imagine yourself, artists making filigree and making paintings and carvings and construction of things. If it's going to be replaced, it's going to be replaced with something better. And many of the individuals, the petitioners, the souls that would arrive here are definitely people who are very strongly lawful and or good in some way or another, and just want to help out. They want to be part of the whole. And this gate town is very emblematic of people not only following the rules, but desiring to know what the rules are to reinforce the rules that exist here in the first place to make such a grand, perfect place to exist. Shai says, if the only thing illegal you've ever done that's illegal was smoke weed, would that mean you were chaotic good up until the time it was legalized, but now you're lawful good? You know what? Yeah. See, that's and uh when I either says, would there be heavy metal in Mount Celestia? You know what? that happens to be our role playing problem with lawful good, because lawful tends towards rules, whether they're written, like they're laws written in books, or following instructions, or honoring tradition. And then the good part of it is, having more concern with others than yourself, that you have no desire to harm or impede anyone else's, um, uh, to hurt anyone else in any kind of way. Apologetic, willing to help, willing to work with others to build a better society. And the closer we imagine ourselves to perfection, the less we in our own minds today are like, nah, that's not possible. It's the equivalent of Star Trek's Federation, where it's a utopian society that exists that we can't imagine because we don't have we've never seen it, and therefore we think it can't exist. But in a fantasy realm, who's to say it can't? And just like Star Trek, who's to say the Federation isn't a utopian society of sorts, that it just happens to be one where it works, right? And there's plenty of YouTube channels that are like, it could never work, blah 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 blah. But so basically, Excelsior is Canada. Yeah, like it's a society where you would think it wouldn't work, but it does, and maybe works even better than we think it does. Um, the other day we talked about resurrection. PCs on a prime material plane. We're going to summon a spell and bring back our valued comrade back from the dead. And down in the lower planes, one of the rules about resurrection is you can't resurrect a soul if they're trapped. Okay. But in the upper planes, you can't resurrect a soul that doesn't want to leave. Excelsior and further on, Mount Celestia and the Seven Heavens is a place you kind of don't want to leave. And while it can bother us to think of a community where you don't have an individual voice, that you're working with others, communal. Strangely enough, we actually do imagine that more often than we think we do. Let me give you an example. Most people who consider themselves to be rebels, chaotic, people that are pushing against the norm, they themselves imagine themselves in a lawful good community. They imagine, hey, if everyone followed the rules that I feel worked for a community, and if everyone agreed with the way I think, and if everyone performed and act and looked and talked and read and enjoyed, entertainment the way I would, then things would be perfect, wouldn't they? Right? That's how most. That, let's be honest, we're pretty narcissistic as a group and individually, and so therefore most people feel like if things would change, if only they were shaped the way I believe they should be, then it would be lawful good. So while we don't see it performed physically, many people believe themselves to be this way. And so maybe the planes of lawful good, or the plane that is lawful good, um, is possible if we could get rid of all the baggage that's around us, right? Although maybe we wouldn't agree with our neighbor, which is the problem, right? The Yanking says living in Planescape would really ruin the grieving process for a lot of people. Imagine your partner dies, but you can visit them 10 minutes later by taking a train to heaven. Yes. That it's ironic because that's what Planescape is about, right? And let's be honest, we needed new places to go. This is a side note, and I maybe one day we'll get into it. I like to talk about the conundrum of death and dying in tabletop RPGs. It's been 45 years, and we still haven't figured it out. Not really, not really. But in Planescape, hey, 10 minutes later, you can visit your loved one. Now, here's the issue: does your loved one remember their old life? And when they come here, will they even want to go back? As detailed in the notes, it actually says that when you get there, it is of such tranquil perfection that leaving it makes everything else feel dull. That much like our experience having some of the greatest meals or the greatest experiences, and then trying to replicate that, and it just feels like you can't capture that lightning in a bottle any longer. It's the exact same thing. when you leave here, the music, the scent in the air, the population and their reaction towards you, the sunlight that pours through the window of the inn that you're staying at, it's just not the same. The music's just not as crisp and perfection in your ear. The drink and food just doesn't have the same taste when you leave. So yeah. Yeah, Shai says, wouldn't the radiance of heaven fry the memories right out of your head? Um, there is a part of that. They do mention that where you um, you want to leave. I'm not. I don't believe that if you can only go here if you're lawful good. Some would desire to basically, the human beings, we tend towards striving for things that are very difficult to obtain. Uh, Historically, Asmodeus, living on the ninth level of hell, actually got to the top level of a Mount Celestia, if I'm not mistaken, in the canon, by following the rules and exploiting the rules. So there is a way to get to the top. Very difficult, but it requires a lot of sacrifice and leaving behind the old you to become the new you there. Like, for example, like the End King said, 10 minutes later, wouldn't you just see your loved one? Well, your loved one might have like wings and a flaming sword and be like looking at you like, didn't you just smoke weed 10 minutes ago? you know? Yeah. When I heathen says, see, I wouldn't trust heavenly realms. Perhaps it is so damn pleasant just to keep people there, a prison with no walls. Now, here's the weirdness of it. From the outside, I absolutely can see people seeing it that way. Like your loved one goes to Excelsior and it loves it so much, and you're going, really? Are you blinded about everything you see? Until you're embraced by it, and then you go, oh, this is why people are here. No wonder no one wants to leave. Right? From the outside, it looks like a Disney World, right? Where everyone's smiling and got the uniforms on and singing and dancing. But then once you're in it, you're like, this actually feels kind of good. Like Drew says, no, I enjoy people who are different from me more since I have already enough of me every day. See, that's the way I am. But that doesn't, listen, lawful good doesn't mean lawful stupid. And it doesn't necessarily mean lawful clones. So what I mean by that is there may be an accepted, you would definitely have an accepted manner of greeting individuals and dressing, um, and music, but there may be an embrace of difference as long as those differences, because it is a good realm and they do have rules, there's probably a very slow change over the course of years that we may not be able to see immediately. So an example would be like heavy metal music, right? Like there are, I'll use a real world analogy. Um, there are all kinds of music related to religion, but uh, very stiff-shouldered, straight-backed people who are into, like, say, Christian religions look at like hip hop music and heavy metal and country and stuff as religious music is going like that's not the way it's supposed to be. But then as time goes on, we have very very bold, popular, God-fearing musical types in hip hop and hard rock and R&B and heavy metal and stuff that are religiously based. So I could see it changing. It wouldn't be very fast, but I could see it changing over time because it being a good realm, they would want to embrace everyone as long as it doesn't disrupt the status quo too much. So, and of course, remember, there's more and more spirits coming every day. If there's a change in culture, there would be a change here. Yeah. Mm-mm-mm. One eye heathen says, I imagine resurrecting a soul from hell, the hell realms, would make a traumatized person for having been in hell. But resurrecting someone from heavenly realms might traumatize a person for making them leave. Yeah, absolutely. Like we don't really, we talk about necromancers and how do you make a good necromancer? There's a scene in a movie called Prophecy. The movie Prophecy is about angels that come to Earth. It's low budget, but it's an excellent movie. And in it, and they have angels. There are angels that are portrayed by actors in the movie, and one of them is like there's Gabriel and Samuel and Azazel and the Lightbringer. And anyway, but there's a scene in the movie where one of the angels sees a dead body and slowly like breathes life into the dead body, and the person comes back to life, looks around and starts crying because he's like, please send me back. I don't want to be here on Earth. I was in such a great place. And the angel's like, shh, I just need you to do something for me. Because the angel can't drive. He doesn't have any wings anymore, it's Gabriel. And he doesn't have wings, so he's got to get from place to place, so he needs a driver. And he resurrects this guy who like it basically OD'd or something. And he's like, oh no, please let me go. Just let me go. Because he knows that the angel brought him back. It's a really good scene, and it makes you, I agree with you. Like, if you're a necromancer, you bring somebody back, maybe they didn't want to come back. Now, it could also be they didn't want to come back because they didn't deserve to come back if they're in the hell realms. But yeah. Yeah. And who knows? Who's to say that there isn't something better than weed in the seven heavens, right? Shai says, don't they have the same problem in heaven that they do on earth? That the lawmakers are evil, so you can't really obey the law and still be lawful good. Well, in Excelsior, I could agree with you. The seven heavens is a place like the lower planes that we kind of can't imagine, right? It's very hard to. Yeah, Christopher Walken. Yeah, yeah. But I still love that movie, Prophecy. But yeah, Christopher Walken, great. Yeah, yeah. Michael as well. Now, I think this is where we can have some our fun adventuring, right? Where what if the plane of lawful good is pretty terrible, and the players are there to change it or alter it, or they are agents of the lawful good plane and then realize, yo, these rules are, you know what, the evil people kind of have a point. If the player's base of operations is the plane of neutrality, I could see them very much being like a police force or enforcement arm or a heist like a black ops operation, which is like our job is that we go to the other planes of existence and we're dismantling them piece by piece, either as insurgents or they're trying to get people out of there. Like, for example, maybe there are people in like the lawful good plane and everyone's looking at them like, look, they've been brainwashed. Like this isn't them. They're here. Why can't they leave here? This isn't they've released they've let go of all the things that make them their personality, even the bad things of their personality. Hey, this person, hey, they're our best friend, but we know they talk too loud and they party too much, and they're always late to events, and they wear the same ripped jeans over and over again, and we tell them to, change up their style or whatever, and they always have bad relationships, but just there's something about them that just seems really fun or whatever. And then when they get to the lawful good plane, they're like, no, I'm far better. I don't do those things anymore. And you're like, dude, you aren't you anymore. We got to get you someplace else. And that would be very fun. Drew says, oh, also I thought about the word pastoral you used yesterday. Okay. I would have put there rural with that word and meaning I would have no issue. Right. And that's, it's called live broadcasting, right? I gotta rip a word out of my brain and slap it out there. But yes, it's, although going back to what you said, it could be that in this plane of existence, there could be the gate town of Excelsior could represent what some people consider lawful good, although other people don't agree with that lawful good, but they feel like this other place is lawful good. Talking about a patriarchy or matriarchy, we can talk about overlaying. I want to say like filtered versions of real world religion, where many of us can go, oh, I agree with that part of real world religion, except for this other part that makes us go like, ooh, like that makes us like repel when the for example, the idea of like lawful good going like, oh yeah, and by the way, we're going to extinguish all evil. We're just going to kill them all. And you're like, well, wait. I thought we were supposed to embrace people. And they're like, oh no, they had their chance. When they died, they went to hell, and so they're evil. There's no forgiveness here. Like, I thought it was about forgiveness. No, you thought it was about forgiveness. You got here. We're recruiting you for our armies because we're going to go down there and wipe everybody out. And then that in itself could be an issue of a PC going like, oh, I've got golden armor and a flaming sword. What are these wings? This is sweet. Wait, you want me to do what? Murder, kill women and children? Like that's not right. Well, they're in hell, so make a decision. She was like, I certainly could not come back either. I have no soul. I'll just be gone when I'm dead. Well, what if you find out you have a soul? You're like, damn it. I thought I crushed it on Earth. All right. Well, at least I've got a millennium or two to crush that out of me so I don't have to come back. When I hear this, is I don't believe there is an animus that survives death. I've had some weird experiences, but there's just no verifiable evidence. Well, that like I'm an agnostic, right? Like just because we don't know that there's evidence doesn't mean there isn't any. I wouldn't. I'm a person who wouldn't dismiss other people's experiences. So we just don't know. I mean, listen, we're human beings. Scientifically, we've got neurological energy going on. We have heat death and things like that. Where does all that stuff go? It would be kind of cool if there was some like quantum universe that our souls went to. I kind of believe into that karmic kind of thing. Energy is never created nor destroyed; it's just transformed. Shai says Old English pastorales, so plural from Latin pastoralis, relating to a shepherd from pastor or shepherd. Yep. Shepherding the masses. Yeah, I just ate too many chips with guacamole. That is heaven on earth. I wonder if there's a place in the lawful good realm that no one talks about, like the underworld, where they're like, listen, I know there are really strange addictions, but you can engage in them here. And they're like, oh, strange addictions? You mean like drugs and stuff? No. Chips and guac, pizza, dare I say chocolate. There's a place with nothing but chocolate. You know what I mean? But although I think temperance is a part of the lawful good realm as well. You don't want to eat too much chocolate. You can have some, but not enough where you're like wiping it is dripping down your chin or something like that. All right, so let's see. Let's see what it says here in Excelsior. Celestials and mortals live in harmony in Excelsior, the gate town at the foot of Mount Celestia. Flecks of gold and silver sparkle in its radiant streets and towers which climb ever upward to new heights of good and law. There's I can show you. I can try to show you the imagery here. Oh, that actually turns out pretty good. There are these floating islands on clouds, collectively called the chandelier, and each of the floating islands, castles that float around the central spire, have names, and it implies you can add your own. Like there's one called Nimbron, the castle of Thotasis. Um, it's run by a lawful good human gladiator. He believes Excelsior requires a firmer hand than the current High Chancellor offers. So remember, I said with these gate towns that it's not pure. So you do have like, I'm sure a lawful good realm, people that live in this gate town, there's a constant push and pull of how lawful is too lawful, how good is too good, how fascist is too fascist, right? They're like, I'm fascist, but I'm not that fascist, So how many people that come here are like, we need to impose our rules on everybody else, or the proverbial um, downward spiral in social media or fandom where you're not a fan unless right, like you're not as pure as we are, where we're even more pure than these other people. And so of course you're going to have these sects break off, like some knights are like, oh, we're just going to capture evil and try to rehabilitate them, and then you have others that are just like, nope, death to enemies, that's it. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. The dark chocolate and coffee layer. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, yeah. That'd be a great adventure smuggling things in Mount Celestia. That actually sounds pretty funny and fun too, right? Like, I mean, there could be. What if the players arrive and there's people hiding in their homes and there's hustling and bustling and grand knights and Pegasus and everything, and they're trying to like hunt down the evil marauders, and the PCs are pulled into it. Like, yeah, we'll raising their hands, we'll volunteer, and come to find out they're smugglers smuggling in things like um, chocolate, dirty magazines, um, those heavy metal CDs that you know what I mean, like really fun, like pretty benign objects or interests or individuals or something, and all of a sudden it's just like they're just like, we've got to clamp down on this. You're going like, really? I mean, like, what if somebody's trying to smuggle in refugees from the evil planes? And they must pass through, maybe they are supposed to pass through um, a chicane, a gauntlet of sorts, where they're not allowed to be associate with the people here and whatnot. But somebody, a goodly group, is like, no, we're going to smuggle them here because the evil beings, they want to escape. They're just like, I'm done with the blood war. I'm done with trying to, um, you know, watch my back in the lower planes because someone evil's trying to look. We just want to get out. And the upper planes are great, lawful good. Great, you've got rules, you got great food. I hear the music's awesome. I like the fashion sense. Hey, can we get here? And someone's trying to smuggle them in. The PCs are like, do we turn them in? Do we keep hiding them? Can we trust them? Are they really trying to change, or are they just trying to find another beachhead? Or maybe they're really evil, but they just don't they don't want to take over anything. They just want their own little small haven away from all the hustle and bustle and the stress. It'd be kind of yeah, exactly. I mean, if you have we you could challenge, like one eye heathen says, you could challenge the the status quo when it comes to rules, and how do those rules apply? Are there rules for marriage and family? Do they hide the unwed children out of wedlock or something, or is it embraced here? Is it looked down upon, or are you kicked out simply because you broke a vow or something like that, which you know very much could happen. That's what broke apart the some of the knights in the Arthurian legends. I'm not going to name the names because I can't think of them right off the top of my head. But there was this breaking of vows and oaths. Are they kicked out to the other goodly planes? They're still good, but they to obtain to come back here. And how fair or unfair are those rules? Yeah. I gotta post this up there. Yeah, yeah, yeah. Shice says, DBJ, good work. You just shoehorned the refugee crisis into D&D. Are you sure you're not working for WotC? Yeah, yeah. It was by accident. Hey, if they were paying me that sweet sweet cash, maybe I would be working for them. I don't know. That's pretty hilarious though. But yeah, that would be a thing, and that unfortunately, that's the push and pull with a refugee crisis, right? The people who are there, let's use Wakanda so we don't have to use the real world, right? Wakanda, we're hiding from the rest of the world. Do we really want to open our borders to outsiders who don't appreciate our way of life? And then there's others that are like, how can we just keep our perfectionist way of life away from everybody else that just because of random birth they don't get to appreciate where we live? Yeah. Yeah, when I even said, "Oh, I'll smuggle some good metal and Celestia." Hell's yeah, that would be awesome though to have like a war band of angels with like heavy metal like harps playing in the background. Mm-mm-mm. Well, they don't have to have harps. Listen, if we've got gear forged and war forged beings, I'm sure electric guitars are definitely a thing. Big bass metal flames shooting out of it. D&D spice drugs from the lower planes, contraband in heaven. Hell yeah. Well, you know what? just having an exposure to the lower planes itself might be a a rule, much like uh, keeping the kids away from dark ideas and such. Souls that come here might not be exposed to what the lower planes even looks like. They may not even know they exist when they come here. Yep, electric heart. Yeah, yeah. When I hear this says, maybe there's a debate in the heavens over which refugees to admit and what tests they might undergo. Absolutely, there is. There's a place known as the Forum, and I would absolutely steal this, right? The Forum is a hub of good faith argument. A row of gilded podiums lines the stage of this wide amphitheater where creatures debate concepts such as altruism, agency, or the gods and their portfolios. The Forum is deliberately located on the surface district rather than the chandelier, a reminder that the venue is more for Excelsior's worldly townsfolk and visitors than for the Celestials. A hush washes over the crowd whenever an angel descends on the stage. And yeah, the player characters might be agents of, you know, for change, or maybe too much change, or what have you. Like, what's to say how the rules are made and how long they're made. Maybe there's a period of time. All right, you have 101 days to see if this works. Otherwise, we annihilate all of them. Right? That might be the rule, that they have a dark secret in Excelsior, right? Which is the reason why you don't see evil is because periodically we wipe everybody out. If you don't leave, we'll give you opportunity to leave. If you don't, you're dead. And they wipe every trace, every written document, every picture, anyone who remembers their loved ones who when they passed away in a great battle, some went to the goodly planes, some went to kind of neutral, some went to the evil, and they all have like this weird strange bond with each other, and they're trying to get back together because they were a group together. They have a love for each other that goes against all of the alignments, and maybe they're trying to stop this kind of thing. When I hear this, I totally role played Excelsior debate, bro. Yeah, yeah. I mean, it sounds cool, right? And it puts the onus on the player characters, I think, to like challenge what is lawful good. And maybe the players themselves might rethink what that means game wise versus like what that means in reality. Like, is there a place to have, could players get to the point where they accept that there should be a place of pure law and goodness that really very few people can even obtain? Oh, for those who don't know, okay, let me, sorry about this. um, each gate town has a gate to the plane of existence. So Excelsior is a gate town, but allows you to go to the true plane of lawful good. The only way to get there is you have to make your way up the tower into the clouds. And Mount Celestia, the seven heavens of Mount Celestia, is a giant mountain. And you look up into the clouds, and the mountain just keeps going up higher, sheer cliffs going up higher, higher into clouds. And you must ascend the mountain, and when you go through the clouds, you end up at the base of yet another mountain that you must scale. Now, it is not just physically climbing, but you must achieve different levels of spirituality and enlightenment to get to the next level. So as you're scaling the mountain, you are shedding your old self and acquiring a new self as you go along, which is why it's so difficult to get there. When I heathen says, love this topic because I love the idea that heaven really isn't so heavenly and could become its own form of hell. I absolutely agree with that. Like, there seems to be a weird connection between the most lawful of good and the most evil of evil, that there's just like, it's like a cyclical, uh, um, it seems like the most pure fall the farthest. You often think of the light bringer and of forgot his name already. Mephistopheles. Anyway, Angel falls to hell, and that some of the most pure, either through their own actions or their own beliefs, tend to fall. And it could be, I mean, what if the players are tasked with escorting out individuals who are have broken some kind of oath or tradition or something, and the PCs are tasked with taking, they're like bounty hunters, like we got to get you and get you out of here. And there's like angels with like blackened wings, and knights whose armor is tarnished, like they have a physical representation of their guilt or their breaking of their alliance, and then come to find out that they broke the rules because they felt like the rules were unfair, or that there were other ways to do things, and they're like, wow, this might be it. This we might leave with the very people we're excising out of here. Yeah. How would the whole taxation is theft thing go down in the Excelsior debate? It depends. Some people think taxation is theft because they don't agree with what they're paying for. But like I said, we are narcissists. Humanity is narcissistic. So what I feel like people should pay for, I don't think that's theft. I think that's a great thing. Like, for example, snow removal, right? Everyone should put $5 in to pay for people to remove snow off the street so everybody has a way to drive around. Well, somebody's like, I don't go out in the wintertime. Why should I pay for it? To them, it's theft. To other people, that's like, yeah, we'd like to have the snow removed. To them, it's not, right? So people only think it's theft when it's something they don't like. When it's something they do like, they're just like, why doesn't everybody else put money in for the pizza? They're like, well, I don't eat pizza. That kind of thing. Yep. Yeah, yeah. Shai says, "Well, but this is a lawful good plane. What are the taxes?" It's probably more service oriented than, I'm sure. It's very little cash is given away. It's probably very service oriented, and the people who come here from death, who are very lawful and good, want to serve in some capacity, whether it's sweeping a street or building a cathedral or cooking meals or singing songs or helping to take care of children or something. Like, there are probably people here that's like, I don't understand what the problem is. You're like, yeah, but you died and you're coming here, you're still working. Like, this isn't work for me, right? That doing good things may not be work for many people. Or if someone says, hey, everybody, we're going to build another barn, and everyone's like, yay, and they get together because they feel good about doing something good, right? Like, I feel very good when I do good things. I don't want thanks for it, or a helping hand or something like that. I do it because I feel like that's the right thing to do. Whereas, just as I wasn't talking about real life. Oh, yeah. No, that is true though. Yeah. Yeah, why don't they put beggars along the whole way up Mount Celestia to make it extra easy for you to pay your way in good deeds? That's true. And also, there's probably a lot of tests on the way. Um, there was a short-lived reality television show about becoming the greatest superhero, and the test was, you must run across this courtyard in your superhero outfit, and the fastest to get from A to B get so many points. But the real test was, is they had a kid who was lost and looking for his mommy. And so this one lady was running, and she was like, honey, you okay? I'm looking for my mommy. Where's my mommy at? And she stopped stopped the run. She lost the race to help the child find his mom, which was the real test, which is probably what happens when you go up the different levels. Each level you go up, everyone's thinking, oh, I got to climb the mountain. That's really not the test. The test may be to help a beggar along the way, to help the lost find their way. Another test might be to help others who couldn't get up high to come back down the mountain. And do you continue up the mountain and ignore them, or do you come back down the mountain knowing you have to double your length and go back down and have to do it all over again? Maybe coming back down the mountain lets you get to the next level, things like that. So, yep. Those beggars would get rich in an hour. Who isn't going to give to beggars while climbing a tower? Exactly, right. And also, there's the can you really like, how do you explain this? Even if you succeed in circumventing the rules, are you really going to get far by circumventing the rules, right? Yeah. When I hear this voluntary communism, interesting thought. Wonder how that would play out. Uh, yeah, well, most small communities actually engage in voluntary communism until they, what is it, like 100 or something? Anyway, there's a statistic that you don't need rules. Rules and laws exist beyond a certain number of individuals, and if you got a small enough group of people, it's done by like socialist communism, where everyone gets a fair share. When I hear this says, I saw that show. There was also a thing, a lady who dropped a ton of change. Oh, yeah, exactly. Yep, yeah, exactly. Right, exactly. Heathen families are typically communistic. Yep. Drew says, on the top of the mountain, they will meet me, who kicks them back down, since they obviously did not help enough people when they found out the time they get to me. You're so silly. All right, so um, anyway, let's get back to the fantasy part of this. So the idea of let me quickly list these 7 things. Let's see. Mount Celestia. Why don't I have this up here? The 7 ways, 7 levels to get to the top of the mountain. Here we go. Celestia is the ultimate in law and good. All aspects of Celestia are beautiful and perfect. It is where the souls of many creatures of lawful good alignment went to after death. Uh, as an outer plane, Celestia is spatially infinite and consists of 7 infinite layers, or basically subplanes. The 7 individual layers form a colossal mountain that rises in an infinite sea of from an infinite sea of holy water on the bottommost layer to the summit on the topmost layer. In the ring around this great mountain, there are 3 smaller mountains and lesser peaks. There's a martyrdom, true heart, and the court, and the domain of the gods. Um, Tyr, Ilmater, and Torm. And then there's different levels: Lunia, Mercuria, Venia, Selenia, Meriton, Jovar, and Coronius. And they each have like a sub name. Like let's see, Lunia is known as the Silver Heaven. The second layer, Mercuria, is known as the Golden Heaven. Uh, Venia is the third heaven, known as the Pearly Heaven, or Heaven of Pearls. Solania is the fourth layer, and it's known as the Electrum Heaven. And then Meritian, maybe it's pronounced Meritian. Meridian is the fifth layer, known as the Platinum Heaven. Javar is the sixth layer, known as the Glittering Heaven. And then there's Cronius, the topmost layer, the Illuminated Heaven. And of course, it says little is known of its structure because nothing was ever recorded by the few who have visited and returned. The legends say that Cronius was so good and lawful that it glowed of its own accord, and any who entered had all evil and neutrality burned out of them, leaving them inherently good if they survived. Many religions made this level the home of their lawful good deities, believing any lesser realms were merely to accommodate less worthy souls. So kind of cool. Kind of cool. Also, lastly, let's see. Yeah. Yeah. This is Celestia. Celestia? Uh, what I hear this is, I like the level with all the paladins because I just figure that that's hell for the very worst rogues. Yeah. You're going to do good things. Dress in armor and do good things. There will be no backstabbing, and you will give mercy. And they're like, no. Now, lastly, I will say that the another way for the player characters to be involved in it, to reinforce this idea that they're going to Excelsior, this gate town, and maybe they're players that are recruited or agents or something like that. Very much could be the idea that the players end up seeing what the purity of lawful and goodness is. And although they can't describe it or even relate it to other people, they know they have to defend it. And so others who are against it, like the player characters themselves might be going, oh wow, this is what they're talking about. Okay. And realizing that they used to be the ones that were like, this isn't right. They've got too many rules. We don't have any freedoms or things like that. But I do like the idea of arguing what the rules should be. When I hear this, well, it's that time, well past it, heading to bed. Good night. Good all. We'll have a great evening as well. Yourself as well as other people here in the States up at God Awfully Hour. But yeah, Planescape is just to reiterate about Planescape. Planescape is just very odd and bizarre, and but very creative as well. Like when we're talking about these different planes, yeah, by heathen, uh, the the idea that we are able to um, show a physical manifestation of what alignment even looks like is pretty remarkable. I don't think we've had too many issues with what has been created. What I think we have an issue with is like, how do we even have an adventure in these places? Like, would there even be violence in these locations? Oh, something I didn't let you guys know about that in Excelsior and the other planes of existence, there's always rules of living in those planes. And so the rule here is there's actually three regional effects. There's one called Beacon of Light. The second one is Euphoric Utopia, and the last one is Floating Structures. So for Beacon of Light, Excelsior's, I've never heard this word before, Aruphius, Aurifer. Anyway, Excelsior streets and temples produce a warm, ambient glow even at night. Evil creatures find the light repulsive. Um, for Euphoric Utopia, Excelsior is perfection incarnate. Fruits are ripe and sweet, fragrant perfumes replace everyday odors, and gentle breezes carry melodious tunes. And again, it's another reason why when uh, petitioners arrive, when people arrive, they don't want to leave because it's so nice. And lastly, floating structures. Clouds as solid as Earth drift through the skies above Excelsior. They support various buildings, such as businesses, keeps, and gaudy mansions. The owners of such structures control the clouds through magical means. Don't worry. I would be very gentle when I kick people off the mountain. Exactly. Now also listen, the idea of striving for perfection, it may not be possible. Those who get kicked off the mountain, the the the, the arrogance of being able to get there might be the thing why no one ever is able to get there. And if it's a plane of existence, not a person, but a plane of existence, maybe it's anyone who achieves it would never come back down, and anyone who is doing it not doing it for pure reasons would never reach the top. So, yeah. Can evil beings even set foot on Mount Celestia at all? From what I understand, I believe Asmodeus did do so. Asmodeus gets to top of. Let's see. Let's see if I can find the. It's. I believe he did it. I believe he's the only being that was able to do it. Hmm. Let's see if I can find it. Uh, did he ever get it outside? Let's see if we can find this history here. Um, Projects outside the Nine Hells. Blood War. I don't know. I don't know. I'm pretty sure he did it, but I can't remember where to find it. Personality. He's because of his intellectual power. Nah. No. Nope, nope, nope. I can't find it. Not very quickly. Sorry, not doing it live. Um, no, divine realm. That's all his ruling in nine hells. Mm, yeah, I can't find it. Sorry, sorry. Politics. No, no, no. That's down below. Above, above, above. Nope, 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 nope. Sorry, can't find it. I'm sure it's out there. I'm sure it's out there. Yeah, Drew says I think that Asmodeus got there was part of some campaign. I believe so too. I mean, of course, excuse me. Of course, there's the idea that could an evil person actually reach it, and the the idea that an evil being was able to reach the highest levels of goodness means that how to explain that there is nothing truly divine in the role playing sphere, right? That the gods and the deities and all the planes of existence and all, whatever the rule is, there's always an exception to the rule. That there isn't anything, there is no such place as a place that is unreachable. If you understand what I'm saying, there is no perfection, um, or whatnot. And so I think it's also a way to like make the mythology to give the mythology a bit of an allure, right? Like, well, if he was able to do it, could PC do it? And there's no rules for it, right? Shai says, okay, Asmodeus is all in good, but like if you want to go to Mount Celestia just to steal stuff, they can probably tell right away and kick you into the lawful good torture dungeon, right? I wondered about that because they don't really. Part of Planescape is that it's supposed to be a sandbox, a place with a lot of toys to play with and for players to adventure. Now, it does say that, it's got the base of Mount Celestia is literally an ocean of holy water. And I mean, just the living creatures there, would they be able to tell if you're evil? You know, you would have to, if every plane of existence is absolute, then in many ways there's no reason to go there because there would be nothing for the player characters to do. So there must be, or there should be, or you can create on your own some kind of method to let the players do their thing. Now, here's another conundrum. What if a good player or good characters are tasked with doing nefarious things for a good reason? Right? Like what if the characters have been collected together by an angelic figure or whatever, tasked with a duty, and they're like, listen, you can't let anybody know, but you've got to go to the goodly plains to gather these things or steal something or rescue some people or whatever, right? And you've got to go there and do this. You have to lie, you have to steal, you have to sneak, you have to be deceptive to do a thing. Does that apply because they're good and they're working on the side of good? You would have to go, well, we want to we want to have an adventure, right? So yes, but then on the other hand, you're like, are you breaking the tenets of the realms themselves just to achieve an adventure? Like, I don't know. Drew says, I think that Asmodeus got there was part of some campaigns, and I have to write eventually an adventure where the players go to heaven to steal the rainbow. Ooh, well, you don't want to steal every rainbow, maybe just one of them, or get to the end of a rainbow. Probably would be kind of cool. Like, the idea of the rainbow bridge and Norse mythology. Maybe the players must arrive at a certain place where the sun shines at a particular point to cross the rainbow bridge or find the other end of it. In the classic, at the end of the rainbow, there's a pot of gold, but maybe they're just there to put a coin back in the bucket or something, or take a coin and pay for the soul of somebody else, or something like that, or exchange. Maybe there's an exchange of some sort. You can't get a soul out of the goodly planes unless someone replaces them, which is kind of a self-sacrifice that they have to escort someone there so that someone else could leave. And even that act itself would allow that person to remain in the goodly planes while the other person leaves or something. The deal of a rainbow to give it to the queer people. Yeah, exactly. Well, rainbows existed before that, right? Which, that's also, um, the the concept of angelic beings has often been attributed to the most innocent suffering the most harm in the real world. The plane, in fantasy, would be the prime material plane. So maybe the players who have gone on a number of adventures and were unable to, or came upon the sacrifices of, like, very innocent people, when they go to the upper planes, maybe they befriend these individuals and realize, like, oh, you're that 9-year-old kid, and you see this person's like 7 feet tall with like golden or silver skin and wings and stuff like that, and they're like, yep, you were there, you were unable to save me, but you were there, and I really appreciate that. And they're like, oh, cool, and they give each other a hug and stuff like that, start hanging out. Like, that may be another part of Planescape that we really don't associate with, is the relationship between the prime material plane, the real world, and going off into these other worlds, worlds of existence and such, and what that relationship is. Do these people want to leave? Are they transformed when they leave from one place to another? And what is that transformation like? When an evil person goes into the lower planes, we all often think of them as becoming like the lowest form of life, but when they move up in levels, they become demons and devils and things like that. On the goodly planes, the same thing could happen. What, does a zero level farm boy or something like that tries to stand up to some evil being or whatever in their town and gets trampled? Do they become a goodly person here with great power in these planes? And then what is the push and pull of that? Maybe they want to, shed their angelic duties to come back to the prime material plane, especially by being introduced to the player characters going, wait, I can go back? And the PC's like, no, you're not supposed to leave here. Like, hey, listen, I'm coming with you, or I'm going to let them know what you're up to. And then maybe they want to come back down, and maybe they lose their wings or something. And that could be a whole story unto itself, to go back and forth. Maybe they, someone comes from the goodly realm, lawful good, comes down from Mount Celestia, engages in all kinds of like rigmarole. The player characters are trying to stop it and get them back, and maybe get them to go back up the mountain and get them their wings and get them their flaming sword, or whatever the case might be. Also, world culture wise, not everybody believes in the ideal of angels and what angels are like. So different cultures in our real world that are in role-playing games, I wonder how they would imagine what a lawful good plane would look like if they are not of a Christian styled faith. Like, what do Buddhists, Taoists, I don't know. I'm trying to think of other types of religions that might not have angelic people in it. Are they just like hermits or whatever? I don't know what that would be like. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. I just didn't feel like putting up my standees behind me, so I just kept the lights out and stuff like that. Something different, something to make it, and the lights actually make me stand out a little bit, so I kind of like it. Drew says a proper angel has hundreds of eyes, and of course, yes. Let's see if we can find some imagery. Let's see, images of what real angels. Let's see if we can find some images here, because they're pretty horrific too. Multiple wings, that hundreds of eyes. Let's see if we can share this out just before we get out of here. pictures. Sorry. I know you can hear the clicking. I hate it. There we go. Some of them are like spinning wheels. Um, yeah, there's a YouTube channel video that shows like images, like animated images of what some of the beings would look like with multiple wings and the heads of lions, the way they're described. Um, yeah, some you can't even see, way off to the left of the screen. History defined, where some are so winged that you can't see their bodies because they're covered by multiple, like their wings are like a cloak, and there's eyes along the wings and stuff like that. Yeah. They're often described as cherubs, but they're pretty horrific. Yeah, let's see if we can find this one. There it is. Yep, biblically accurate angels, the way they're described. Mm-mm. Here's somebody on Pinterest that tried to draw some over here. Yeah, pretty crazy stuff. Yep. Yeah, darkness in heaven. It's kind of cool. And really for our we're talking about role playing games and fantasy and being creative and things like that. Sure, in real world, you're going to have issues and problems with delving into those subjects. But role playing games allow us to the idea of being creative in a method in which um, breaks the status quo. I think it would actually be very cool to have, like, is there really a connection, with a true physical connection between the realm of lawful good and the realm of like the evil planes, and there's this cyclical cycle of beings that become arrogant, and so arrogant they fall to the lower planes, and it in it in it of itself, this action is fueling the blood war that the upper planes are trying to stop, knowing that that behavior is causing it in the yeah, the big way. Yeah. Lights out, the angels are watching. Yeah, big DT's watching. Like big brother. Oh my goodness. Anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Your time is very valuable. Thank you for spending it here. I hope we can make some changes in I can offer some changes, some of our creative tabletop role playing experiences, and I hope this gives a little bit of insight into Planescape and why people like it. Not too much detail into the planes, but I like to delve into, like, what would you do there? What would your players do? How would you use it? Having agents come from this place that maybe they claim they're from it, but they've really been kicked out. Or there are agents that come from this place that are pretty draconian and fascist in there, trying to instill lawful and goodness, maybe driving the players to understand why beings fall down into the neutral and the evil planes and the more chaotic planes of existence. So I like that as well. And lastly, the players could very much be trying to reinforce something that the vast majority of the entire multiverse doesn't think can exist. There can't be a place that is purely lawful and good. And the PCs are like, no, we've looked upon it. And despite the fact that we don't even remember it, we know that this place can be. And maybe they're trying to fight for a place to at least let some of those individuals get there. So anyway, guys, thank you very much for being part of the show. I really appreciate it. Thank you very much. And yeah, happy Monday part 2, the descent into treachery. Yeah, exactly. All right, guys, have a great one. I'll see you later.